half of the world is on the old internet and the whole other rest of the world is on the new internet.
Yeah.
They don't got nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a large shift and it's almost complete.
Yeah.
And when it's done, everybody gonna know what happened. They just put out the arrest warrant. They just arrested what's his name? Comey, the dude from the Russiagate scandal. So the first arrest been made on that. Next thing they're gonna have to, and then Trump just gave orders for the DOJ to go ahead and execute the arrest immediately. He gave that order today on a Sunday, or it might have been yesterday on a Saturday. But he gave the order to start arresting these suckers immediately, right after they called all of the generals to Quantico. Not Quantico. It's a Marine base. They called them all to the Marine base. I forgot which one it was. But they have never, in the history of the country, called all of the generals in one place at one time. That's unheard of. Right? But they just did it. Something big about to shift. It's about to pop. I'm waiting on the fat lady to sit down on that pimple.
Hey man, I'm already ready for whatever. I'm ready for whatever. Like C Murder said, we ready for whatever. I hope Teddy Ready about to clip his wings, touch the sky, bro. I think C Murder was kind of like Psycho a little bit, bro. He's a psycho serial killer a little. Yeah, there's something he said.
Malcolm said it best. If you ain't an angry black man in America, you're an insane black man in America.
Hey, look, what he did all, huh? They like Doc said, they don't love you. I mean, they don't love you and they hate you. It's like this. Like Martin Luther King was teaching love, let's hold hands, let's join together, and bang, they shot him. Malcolm X said, hell no, you see how he going the opposite. Bang, they shot him. So it stands to reason. It don't matter how you go with them, they don't like you anyway. They ain't gonna like you.
The thing is this: you don't want your inferior to muster up the wherewithal to be your superior after you done them wrong, because you don't know how they going. They got a right for revenge if they choose it. You don't know what they gonna choose because of what you done did. Right. So you don't want to give up the power to the people you done did the dirt to. Because if you get the power up to the people you done did the dirt to, you don't know. You like, they at your mercy.
Right.
Right? So they don't want you to join them. So don't talk that peace talk. Shoot them down. But they don't want you to start your own. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, etc., etc. They'll burn you down. Right? If you talk about standing up to them, Malcolm, they can shoot you. Get rid of you. Right? If you make alliances in high places with us, they JFK you. They RFK you.
Yeah.
Right? So it don't matter because they don't want us to get back on top because they say all the stuff we did to them, we don't know what they gonna do to us.
Right.
It don't matter. We gonna do whatever we want to do when we get on top.
Now,
but we ain't gonna do nothing reckless though.
Yeah, right. Right.
Because we follow the matriarchal order, and the matriarchal rules say getting rid of this person gonna benefit or hurt the community. Right? If it's gonna benefit the community, arrivederci, off the cliff you go.
Yeah.
If leaving you around gonna benefit the community, well, we got to figure out a reformation plan. We got to change your mindset and get you to bump straight. Because if you don't bump straight, even if you benefit the community, you off the cliff you go. But if you ain't gonna benefit the community in no kind of way, and you on that list, off the cliff you go, out the gate, ain't nothing to talk about. But if it's a benefit the community can draw from you, and you willing to reform. But you know what Elijah say, can the devil be reformed? No. It's been tried.
Yeah.
It's utterly failed. So if he can't be reformed, that means he was a devil to begin with, and he gonna remain a devil, so we gonna give him the devil's reward.
Right.
But if he was able to reform, that means he wasn't never the devil to begin with. He wanted us.
Right. Right. And on that note, we could drop the mic and walk off stage. We had 2 hours and 30 minutes. Hey, y'all, we got 1,800 people in here. Everybody hit that like button right now before we get up out of here. If you want to show Raw, hey, some love, like I say, we want to keep them off the plantation. We're going to have them back as soon as we can. We got the Cash App right here dropped on the screen and the PayPal for the people that was asking. We was dropping it every people was asking. I was just dropping it every 5-10 minutes. But yeah, everybody send them $5 right now. Put them in the game. If you want to show them $25, whatever you want to do, man. You know, if you feel in your heart. What else we gotta say? I was gonna ask you something else before we get out of here, bro. It was something about maybe it wasn't supposed to ask you right now about it. I'm gonna write. I think I might have wrote it down.
In between these dimensions and what that means for us, Rod.
So, you know, they talk about the veil in masonry.
A lot,
The lifting the veil of the shrine, the sacred shrine of the Black Madonna.
Yeah.
The tomb of Hiram and Biff, all of them is behind the veil.
Yeah.
Right? There's all concepts that's actually formulas for physics problems. We really looking at it being translated into our modern language from ancient times using the symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the symbol carried the original meaning into the future, but it's like when everybody telling the same story and you go around the room, it don't come back like it started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the symbol remains the focal point to keep people looking at it for what it is instead of what the illusion is telling them it is. So the one thing we do, if we want to know what's behind the veil, first we have to understand the veil itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The veil is part of the Kali Yuga time cycle that put us in the sleep state as the gods, the resting state for the gods. So all of the gods been working for trillions of years, and then all of a sudden the superior gods say, go take a nap. You need some rest. So you go through the Kali Yuga, which is the state of ignorance, the darkness of the mind. So the darkness of the veil comes from the emptiness of space that resides as mind, where the mind got to fill the space and build the diagrams, which is the physics formulas to put everything back in order within the mind, the same way it's put together outside the mind, and use the inner self as a mirror for the outer self. So it's telling you principles of high magic, but it's simplifying them where you could just tell somebody that the veil itself is telling you how to lift it by learning certain key magical practices, right? Or mathematical studies. So it's hardwired into everything, right? But it's scattered out to you have to get to a certain level of recognition that you can see it being reflected in all of the things around you. Right? Then you start tracking it back to try to find out the source. Where did this come from? Once you find out the source, when it happened, what did it mean? So while you learning and understanding that there's certain practices that's required to lift the veil or rent the veil is what they call it. Right? These practices are all mentalism. They all deal with powers of the mind, being able to align your inner world to your outer world until you can melt away the ripples in the current.
Indeed. Yo, did anybody hear at like the 3-minute mark when Ra was talking? It sounded like this nigga was on a spaceship, and it was like it sounded like real like an alien was behind him talking. Y'all can rewind it and listen, but underneath him it sounded like an alien, like a spaceship or something. Did y'all hear that? it was yeah, like the 3-minute mark, right? Rod, where you at, man? Cause you ain't got the camera. You on the spaceship, Rod? Where Rod at? They done abducted him. Rod, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, my brother David heard it. See, David was like, I heard it. Yeah, somebody said like digital artifacts. What was that, Rod? We think there's some shit going on. Or I'm just being a conspiracy theorist, man. What's going on?
Look, everything in the world is holographic by nature.
Ooh, yeah, there you go. That's that talk. That's that.
This
talk.
is one of the ways you understand the veil.
Yeah.
Michael Talbot, Holographic Universe. Remember?
Yes, got it. Bobby Hemming told me to get that book. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you understand how a holographic projector works?
Yeah, somewhat. Every piece of the hologram has the whole hologram within it.
That's the fractals of the hologram.
It's the fractals. Okay.
Right. The fractals are like the pixels on your phone that come together to form the whole image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fractals is coming together to form the image of everything in the universe.
Mm.
Now, if you take one fractal, everything in it is the same information that's in the whole of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? That means that each fractal has enough information in it to explain everything.
Indeed.
But we got to first understand the smallest part first.
Right.
So when we're looking at lifting the veil, we're trying to get the mind. Right? Remember it say in the New Testament, it say, "Let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said, what does it say? Who thought not it to be a sin to make himself equal with God?
God, yeah.
And he was made so by the thinking of the mind. Right? So you want this mind to be in you. If you don't think like a God, you will never understand what God thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always be behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
So when you want to lift the veil, you got to start asking yourself, because remember, you can't lie to yourself.
Nope. Mm-mm.
You lie to everybody else.
I talk about that. People lie like
you can't lie to yourself, because as soon as you try to lie to yourself, guess who already know you lying? You already know you lying. Right? So you can't lie to yourself, because you have to have the inner dialogue to come up with the story that's going to be the perfect lie, or so you think it's the perfect lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That means you had to first, you and your inner self had to concoct this story.
Right?
It's the same with the external world. Whatever it is going on inside of you, working with the other pixel projectors, y'all are telling the same story.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time.
Same time.
Right? But then the wave that moves through the pixels, like the sun moves across the earth, when the waves move across the pixels, the ones that's not getting the direct light, not lit. And you can still use the darkness in order to use it as a backdrop to line in the color. All of the colors that's being projected is continuing upon being overlaid over a dark screen. Right? Because when you look at the streamers in the Matrix, you see the neon green, but you're not paying attention to the background black.
Right.
Okay, now when you look at the picture behind you now through the screen, you're not realizing that it's being reflected off the pitch of the dark black.
Mm-hmm.
If you zoom in between the pixels or the pixels on the screen of the photograph, the further you get in, you find out that there's more black there than it is actual color.
Mm.
Dark matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the composition of what the veil made of. The dark matter of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Subconscious mind. So we all be put under a hypnotic spell.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The hypnotic spell make us believe that everything we agree to is what we projecting out, never knowing that we projecting out not what we agreed to, but what we was told to accept.
Mm-hmm.
Once we realize that we weren't projecting their reality for them, we can hijack their system by projecting our own reality. This is why you need leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders give you a focal point to put the energy so that you can know who winning the game.
Mm. Rod, let me ask you this, Rod. With the information you're talking about, we're talking about the thinning of this veil. One of the words that we hear continuously is the ascension of the soul, and how our spirit is. You know, people talk about ascension symptoms, ascension this, ascension that. What word is better to describe what we're experiencing right now, Rod? Would you say ascension, or would you say remembering? What word do you think is better suited for what we're experiencing right now at this time?
We're graduating.
Mm.
Everybody's graduating from a different class, but we all graduating.
But we all graduate, but just different classes, you're saying?
Yeah. Imagine a K through 12 one school.
Yeah.
We all in the same school. And we all get a graduation ceremony, but we only notice the ones for the 5th grade graduation and for the high school graduation. We remember them, but we remember we've been passed up class to class from the beginning.
I thought deaf was graduation.
That's the final graduation. That's when you exit the school.
Right, okay.
Right? But while you in the school, you graduate from grades.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Okay.
Okay, now, and to put it in terms that a traveling man can understand, we call it putting it in degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got 3 degrees of Blue House Masonry and the Apprentice Fellowcraft Master Mason. But when you get to the Scottish Rite, then you got over 32 degrees to contend with. Plus, you got an honorary 1 1/3 that was given to the 33 1/3 in order to make him be above freezing at 32 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we master flipping by unraveling the meaning of the veil and then telling you what it's telling you that you're looking at.
Got you. That
makes
makes sense.
So all of the traveling men right now is in utter amazement because they thought that the degrees that they was getting was making them important in the brotherhood. But it wasn't the degrees they was getting, it's what they did to get the degree that gave them value. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm. You know, can you hear me, Rod? Because it sounded like he was breaking up. Can you hear me? And I think he's, for some reason.
Hold on a second, Brother Rick.
Okay. You give Rod Hayes a second, family. Let the brother get a brother a second. All right. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We almost had 2,000 in the chat. Great way to start the show so far. Yeah, the veil is thinning. And I know y'all hearing and seeing things and feeling things that y'all haven't felt before in your lives. This show is really to let y'all know that y'all not going crazy, regardless of what the world and society tells you. Maybe some of y'all might be a little crazy. Everybody's a little bit crazy. A little crazy is good in a world that's crazy. But don't worry about it, y'all. We are
listen. Rich.
Yeah. Oh, you back? What's up, brother?
Look, sane people look insane to people that's insane.
There you go.
Insanity can be manufactured and given to you as a contagious aberration.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about contagion, aberration, and Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they don't tell you that the different people can give you their thought form. It's the egregore at that point.
Mm.
They infecting you with an egregore that in Dianetics is called an Ingram, but
Ingram.
it's an Ingram.
Mm.
And the Ingram is the negative thought form that puts you a bad operating system in your mainframe. So you go back to the computer principle, um, garbage in, garbage out. So if you know how to disrupt the program, this is where you dumping the garbage in at.
Right.
It's the breach in the wall. You're giving it to somebody as a thought form based on your character and disposition,
Mm.
right? So they sitting there and they listening to you talk your talk, but you influencing them to get the Ingram in by inferring what you believe and let their mind take it from there and they can slightly twist it to fit their own narrative
Right.
because they still got to fill in the blanks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when the understanding of how it works becomes known to the people, it make it easier to see through the deception. The problem is that when they first see it, they don't believe that they seeing what they seeing. When they exactly what you see, the level of corruption you see is worse than that.
Mm.
No matter how bad you think it is, it's worse. The level of human trafficking that you think it is, it's worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much worse than what they doing in their adrenochrome factories and underground torture cities, right? It's so much worse because our mind, the regular person with a good, generous heart, they mind don't think people think that wickedly.
Right.
But all it is the extreme opposite of the good and the good people.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have the law opposites in the realm of polarity. Right? The polarity comes in, and now we're talking about what Masonry call your right severity and mercy. Why do they call them severity and mercy? Because you learn between the buffer and the stressor. The mercy is the thing you want to move toward. It's the buffer, and the stressor is the stuff you want to move away from.
Right.
Right? And that's the stressor.
Right. Right. Right.
So if you want to teach somebody something, you expose them to both of them repeatedly, and they 9 out of 10 gonna pick the right one based on what they trying to do.
Indeed. Rod, I want to ask you, in terms of the veil being thin, and people can feel certain things that they didn't feel. I notice sometimes when I wake up, Rod, when my spirit returns to this realm, sometime when I wake up from it could be an intense dream, or it could just be a certain type of sleep, and I wake up and I got this eerie feeling, and I'm like, and I feel like I'm still in between worlds, and I feel like I got a lot of control over this realm because I'm like Neo in the Matrix almost. That it's like that first hour or some shit like that. I want to know that feeling. Is that going to be like a all day feeling for us? The more the veil thins, like we're sort of like this eerie in between world feeling where we're totally not here. Is that how we would describe that feeling when the veil gets extremely thin and the worlds merge?
Well, we all have inner talents, either skills that we develop or talents that we brought from past lives that we were born doing, right? The lifting of the veil is about the awakening of the mind. So the mind going through the Kali Yuga, the dark state.
Wait, hold up, Rod. They saying our mics are going in and out. Listen, family. I hear Rod fine. How is it with y'all? The mic situation. So both me and Rod are breaking up.
That could be the YouTube.
The sound is bad. Hey, Rod, let's both go out and come back in.
Okay.
See if that helps. All right. All right. Yeah. Rod, you hear me, my brother?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Yeah, look, people are saying I was good. So it's just some people. Then it's not every. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, it's just some of y'all. All right. Y'all good? Okay. All right, Rod, go ahead, my brother.
What was we on?
Yeah, I'll ask you that question about waking up and having that eerie feeling the first hour I'm awake, where I feel like I'm in between worlds, but that feeling doesn't last the whole day. It's just for that first hour I'm awake. And I want to know, is that feeling something that we would experience throughout the course of the entire day? Because the veil is so thin and the worlds are more joined together.
So the reason why it's the first hour after you wake up is called a serotonin response.
Serotonin response. Okay.
Right. Now remember, during the day, your serotonin is going to convert to melatonin. As you move through your day, the melatonin is going to be reconverted back into serotonin. Right? It's going to be feeding you back through your endorphins as serotonin, the happy hormone. Right? But once you went through the course of the day and you use it almost all up, you have to use your sleep to build your serotonin levels by converting the melatonin back into serotonin. You get me?
Yeah.
Okay, now, it's the same when you waking up. You're going to have that serotonin rush when you first wake up. Because you coming out of you ever see when they tranquilize one of those elephants and they give them the shot to wake them up? That sucker be laying there and then he just pounce up like he was never down.
Right.
Right, that's the serotonin response. So it's giving you that rush of energy for the day, but you can carry the energy if you practice carrying the energy throughout the day. It'll just be natural. You have to first study it. What do I experience in it? Once you can identify all of what you're experiencing in that feeling, then you can practice it any time of the day until you make it into a habit. And then you'll be able to have that sensation as long as you know you gotta feel this way, you gotta be thinking this, you gotta be disconnected from this bullshit over here and disconnected from that bullshit, and I feel like I'm free. I feel like I'm floating through heaven. Right? You can keep that energy all day. You can use it. They call it shifting to the zone. This is when you learn to use your focus energy to put it into the investment of accomplishing the goal. You go into the zone. You heard about the athletes that go into the zone, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. It's the same thing. But when you live in your challenging life, you will always have the serotonin response that you stepping into the combat zone. You building up the energy, you burning off the excess, you exchanging the energy equally, and this is how you maintain the balance in your serotonin melatonin ratios. And then the side effect is to give you this feeling that this is the best feeling I ever had. I could take on anything. Right? Here's strong, I take on anyone. But it's the energy exchange that's taking place through you love the life you live, so you create more of that so that you can have more of a loving life.
Right.
I tell the warriors, turn your war story into a love story.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason you're here. But for the gardeners, right, I tell them to turn their gardening story into a love story.
Right.
It's the same principle. Whatever story you live in, at the end, you want to turn into a love story. Right? Because once you turn it into a love story, you change all of the negative meanings of life to work for the positive outcome of concluding on a love story. So you have like watching a love story in a movie. You got to have the meeting, the introduction, the build up, Then you got to round out to the finale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at your life. You went through this. I came up from out of that. I moved over here and I moved out of that. And then you find the love story in it.
Mm. Rob, with the veil getting thin, they said when the veil was thin before, people would see all types of creatures that we hear about in books. I want to ask you, Rob, you ever had experiences with fairies and stuff like that? You know how we hear about
All the
fairies?
time.
So yeah, what's your experience? Damn, you
Listen.
said that. You said all the goddamn. I didn't expect you to say. Oh,
Look, brother, look, remember I told you before. I said in this part of the earth realm where we at now, in this reality, nobody's allowed to come in a mythical form. You remember me telling you that?
yes, you told me that plenty of times. Yes, indeed.
Right. They look human because they take on a human form. The fairies, the gnomes, the water sprites, the fire sprites, they take on human bodies in the realm of the humans because we're the highest evolved creatures, closest to God walking the earth. And when they come in out of the mythical plane, that's what they call it. Because this is where all of the myths is kept alive. The energy just transfer into the human arena, so we can play mortal humans.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them still there. Your unicorns, your fairies, your leprechaun is the Bantu people that was living in Ireland when the Catholic Church was murdering them all. That's why they say they killed the snakes, because the women wore snake armbands and the men wore the snake headband.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
He didn't kill shit. Ain't no snakes. And wasn't no snakes in Ireland. There's no history of snakes in Ireland. There's no fossil record of a snake ever being in Ireland.
Damn.
So what snakes was St. Patrick killing then? If it ain't never really been no snakes there, and he was made a saint by the Catholic Church for killing snakes, what snakes is he killing? What kind of serpents is these he's killing?
Right. Damn.
They're called Nagas. Nagas.
And that's a people.
Yep, that's the ancient royal families of the earth, the Nagas. Their descendants is the Amaru Khans of the Southwest Americas, moving into Peru and Bolivia and all that stuff.
Right.
Going down into the monkey village in South America when it was the journey to the west of Hanuman, Sun Wukong journey to the west, right, where the Buddha sent him to get the Buddhist scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so then you see the monkey cities in South America, you see the monkey and the Nazca lands that's native to another part of the world. Right, and it's on there with the phoenix. We see the symbol of the baboon representing Tahuti and Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
The monkey mind is the Sacco. When your elders kept putting these certain symbols there, what was they trying to tell you? Have you ever asked yourself, if I was my ancestor and I painted that, what would I be trying to get my descendants to understand? Because then yourself gonna have to make you look at it from a perspective as if you wrote it.
As if you wrote it, right?
And once you look at it as if you wrote it and you was trying to get a message into the future, you think how many generations, and then you'll know how the evolution of time will cause the message to be distorted.
Right.
Right. And the distortion comes in during the Kali Yuga, which is the dark phase. This is the moon cycle of the 24,000 year cycle. The global warming is a sign that there's a sun cycle returning.
Mm.
And a moon cycle, a lunar cycle, which is a cold cycle, leaving. So when the sun cycle comes in, brings the golden age with it.
Mm-hmm.
right? So a look at the lifting of the veil as in the transition from the night sky to the early morning sky.
Mm-hmm.
And the mirror is that orb that's coming over the horizon is you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you just broke through Kepler. Now you rolling across the sky, across the Horus horizon. And we know that when Horus is done rising, he's our 10.
Mm-hmm.
He is the eagle in full view of all other eagle clans. He's the falcon in full view of all the falcon clans. He's the great hawk that's visible to all of the hawk clan in the sky at one time, but all it is a sign of a solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
All of the bird clans tell it the same way. It's the bird with the phoenix wings curling up to the sun,
Mm-hmm.
or the hawk wings, or the falcon wings, depending on which culture is telling the story, depending on which bird is it representing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which takes you to the great thunderbird, Quetzalcoatl. Right? The Quetzalcoatl thunderbird means the bird with the booming voice. Right? But we know that the booming voice moniker was taken by Enlil, the god of the skies, and he's also the lord of the booming voice. En means Lord. Right? Enlil means the booming voice, or the booming sound of thunder. So they make it have a dual meaning.
Right.
Flip the mirror.
Indeed. Rod, what all, no, good. You're still talking good. I'm sorry.
Good.
With all this water that people are reporting, the flooding, I've seen New York, water's been coming down extremely hard in Georgia the last month. I mean, there was one time I think it rained like 14 days in a row out here. And right before our Stone Mountain trip that we did about 2 weeks ago, I mean, it poured raining the night before. We always hear about the floods and when the worlds are ending. Is this water? Some people, I've heard people on TikTok say that this is etheric water. This is water coming from beyond this realm. Is there anything unique about the flooding or the rain or the water that's coming down now versus the rain, the flood, and the water that we've seen maybe 20 years?
The pattern is unique. If you look at the pattern, you would say those are aqueducts. Somebody's opening aqueducts.
What's an aqueduct for somebody who doesn't know, Rod?
It's like an underground dam that holds a large portion of water.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the flood locations has almost zero rain, and it's normally dry. The aqueduct's been there for thousands of years, if not millions.
Mm.
They tell us about the ones in other parts of the world, but they don't tell us about the ones over here. You got to remember, they didn't start studying anthropology and archaeology over here until the 1800s, where they've been 200-300 years prior overseas. They never, when they come with the Outer Africa theory, the Outer Africa theory is contingent upon Africa being the first place that they studied for ancient artifacts of bone.
Mm-hmm.
But America didn't start becoming, I think it was one of them signers of the Declaration was the first archaeologist. And then you had another guy, he was part of some other organization that was the first anthropologist. Right? So they wasn't even studying over here when they came up with the Outer Africa theory. No, there was not a sufficient study of the Americas published with peer review for it to even be considered as part of the discussion with the Outer Africa narrative. But we have artifacts that's older than people possibly could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that if we wasn't the first. Right? So we trying to get the point across that the oldest contract on the planet is the gender of the earth being feminine, and that the close of each age have to be closed with returning the earth back to the divine feminine, not just the feminine, the divine feminine. This the evolved sisters. This is why we always talk about Big Mama, the ones who have children with sibling rivalries that she's learned how to mediate the conflict between them to make them grow up as a collective strong unit. Them the ones we talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where the other ones fail miserably because their sons grow up killing each other. Right? Because they don't teach the family unity. This is how you tell the difference in who people are. You got a spectrum by which the family unity is even being discussed. Into what degree? Right? So we have to get back to understanding that who we are and when these stories was being written, they had nothing to do with us. We know history was written by the victors. We know that because they told us that history was written by the victors.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever disputed it or proved it to be an invalid statement. Therefore, it became a maxim.
Mm-hmm.
It's a standing truth that's never been disproven. Right? So we know that the truth is so valuable that they're going to guard it with a circle of lies because Winston Churchill told us.
Mm-hmm.
Head of state during World War II. Right? So what is the lie that's so valuable that they got to conceal? If you want to conceal as the victor who the rightful heirs is to a territory so you can maintain your conquest, then the secret that you want to keep is that these people own that land. Because once we overthrow. But as long as we can get them to believe we belong on their land, then we can get them to let us stay on their land for free. Matter of fact, we can even charge them for letting us stay on their land. Read that about.
No, for real, yeah. Wow. Rob, we talk about, I believe, like I told you earlier, I remember watching Bobby Hemmett talk about when the Earth fell into 3D, and I believe this is around the Atlantis period, right? Was it around that period?
They did live through these cycles billions of times. These are cycles.
Okay.
Just like how many times in the history of the world have we went through the 4 seasons?
Yeah, exactly. Many times.
It's the same thing. It's just on a different scale.
Rob, when did this veil first form? This veil that I'm sure there was one time when there was no veil at all. In the ancient books, is there anybody talk about this veil formed out of nowhere and we see?
No. We know exactly what the veil is. The veil is the sleep stage or the nighttime, the Kali Yuga for the god.
Mm-hmm.
This one that we coming out of is artificially induced because of warfare.
Mm.
The stories is told as Romanus Wars and as Pyramid Wars, but they still wars nonetheless. Technology was different, but it was advanced. So they still had bombs nonetheless. The human was inquisitive to understand the fractals of nature, so they learned how to split the atom, of course. Right? And they blew up bombs. You got deserts as the aftermath to prove the ignorance of man and the destruction to Mother Earth. And it parallels with the onslaught of what we call the patriarchal agenda. The patriarchal agenda is to take the mother's right of the heritable land by force until there is no more daughters to inherit the land. You get it?
Yeah.
Right. So the veil is just like a sleep period.
Okay.
And when the veil is lifted, it's like opening your eyes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we understand that the veil is a state of mind. It's a consciousness.
Right.
When you in the veil, you blind, deaf, and dumb. Because you walking around in the dark, not knowing who you are, not remembering who you were, because you are in the dark. Right? You can use the darkness for a mirror if you become self-aware enough to do so. It helps you discover who you is better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the goal is when you're under the veil,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same as being under a blanket with the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or being in China when it's daylight in America.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's dark over there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's daylight over here.
Right.
It's cycles. So the lifting of the veil is not like lifting the curtain on the theater, but you can still look at it like that if you see the world as a stage and we are just actors.
Yo, Rod, I was looking at your avatar. I forgot to ask you earlier, but I'm glad I'm asking you now because there's more people here. I'm looking at your avatar with the
So when you smoke the herb, when you first start getting high, your synapses fire erratic, so your nerves be erratic. So we always use the cigars to tone the nicotine from the cigars to balance it out. Man, I hit that cigar. I was so balanced with my trees. I was like, God dang. The only thing it was so wide, the cigar was so fat that it's gonna go bad before I could get to smoke the whole thing. That's the only sad part about it, because I smoke it to help focus on certain topics. But man, that mug tasted better than any cigar I ever had in my life.
bro. I'm telling you, right? I'm telling that taste is.
But
Wow.
I was looking for that energy effect, because we haven't had any tobacco that I've tasted since I've been sampling cigars and stuff. I haven't tasted that pure, unpoisoned tobacco flavor in a long time.
Mm.
Because you could taste the chemicals in all the other tobaccos.
Yeah.
You can tell that whoever grew that like with their hands, like they was hands on, loving what they was doing, farming that tobacco.
Yeah. I got because I know you said you want the smaller joints, so I got these are smaller ones. So
Yeah, I could smoke them. I probably smoke a whole one of them.
this is the joint you have, Rod. This is the smaller one. So I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the smaller ones, family. But yeah, family. I told y'all I'm my joint is legit. It is legit. It is legit, family. Make sure y'all, for those who send in a donation, PayPal donation, I could gift y'all one of the cigars. So it's a magnificent experience, family. I've been telling y'all about it for months. So I'll share the PayPal with y'all before the end of the show. I might put it in the description, but yeah, family, you got to try this. I mean, an amazing experience. Was you would you say it's like transcendental, therapeutic? What word would you use, Rod?
It's nothing like any other. You won't expect it from a tobacco to be able to be that mellow.
Yeah.
Like, it mellows you out. And what it does for the energy, especially for weed smokers, this is why we do both. When you smoke that THC and you start getting that erratic THC buzz start coming on, you smoke. Normally, we smoke a cigarette or a cigar to mellow out the spiking of the weed high. So you stay high longer, but it's a cleaner high. Right? You get to see more stuff in that altered state. Right? And then the nicotine facilitating it. It's doing a similar thing from a different angle.
Right.
Right? So the way that the cigar burn, the smell, it, man, look, if you ever start selling them, getting a subscription.
Oh man, that's big, Rod. You heard that? Rod said he'll get a subscription. That's how much he's feeling it. Yo, Rod, just real quick, since we're talking about the veil, and the spirit that's in tobacco, I'll be watching like they be like shows on YouTube where people go to like all these lands and ancient tribes that isn't tainted by modern society. All of them smoke tobacco, bro. Like every single last tribe with these YouTubers that go and they get like millions of views going to these lands, whether it's Africa, South America, Asia, everybody smokes tobacco, Rod. So I'm like, damn, man.
All of them not tobacco, Rick. Some of them are other herbs. Some of them are other herbs. Tobacco is just one of the herbs we smoke. We smoke a lot of herbs. Like sometimes I put rose petals in my weed, smoking buds and roses.
Oh, rose petals.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I use lavender when I really want to relax deeper.
Yeah.
I mix some lavender with my trees. Right, so we don't just smoke the herb alone or the tobacco alone.
Yeah.
We smoke a lot of different herbs for different reasons. And people be forgetting that smoking was one of our first ways we had to get medicine into you internally. Right? We had learned how to make pills and fucking tonic shit.
Right.
But we knew how to mix herbs and burn them, put you in a lodge full of the smoke so you can inhale it to heal yourself. We've been doing that. Right? That's what the same with psilocybin.
Right.
We've been using for a long time, longer than people can imagine, in order to open the mind up. In order to rent the veil individual by individual. But now we do it through a collective renting of the veil. Right? So all of the people are getting genetic upgrade. The genetic upgrade is coming from the solar flare. They feeding the codes to the earth, and the earth is sending them through the people through the Schumann resonance. Right? And this is why only massive amounts of radiation can alter the DNA. Right? That's how you get new species come in off the sudden change of the DNA.
With all this talk about what we're talking about with the veil and with solar flares and everything, fairies and all this stuff, what's your thoughts on the book of Revelation in the Bible, Rod?
It is a coded codex for a certain priesthood to use as a control measure. Right? Revelations is all coded. So you imagine if all of the clergy know what it say, but the regular people don't. That's the same as the CIA putting the code on the network that all of the secret society, all of the secret spy agencies of the world know, but don't nobody else know.
Right. Wow.
We just had an opportunity to crack the code. That's Revelations. Because most of Revelations is excerpts from books in the Old Testament. And then they was put in that form in Revelations in order to retell the story in a more concise manner. It was the summary. Revelation is the summary of the great prophecies of the Old Testament, put in the order that the church believed that they would play out. And the only reason they believed they would play out because they planned them. And the only reason we know they planned them is because we read Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. And he said they was going to do it this way. And this is what it was for. So they kept it a secret. They just hid it in the book because they knew no ninjas wouldn't look. If they hid it all in the books and we had to go to the books to get it out, that takes us back to ancient Egypt when they started recording history. Remember, history used to be kept on crystals.
It used to be kept on crystals?
On crystals, yeah.
Like
this is when our blood was more chlorophyll. We was magnesium and copper instead of iron and copper, right? And so when we broadcast back then, we was able to communicate with the metal ratio to the crystals and allow us to be like we were able to use a crystal like a computer, but it was a crystal and it was more interactive. It was like an artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when the blood was changed over to the iron and copper output, it was not compatible with communicating with crystals. It became compatible with communicating with stone. So we start carving with chisels then
Right.
to put the messages in the stone because we can't communicate with the crystals.
Damn. So we went from the crystals to the stones.
Right. You ever heard the term getting blown back to the Stone Ages?
Yeah.
What's they talking about? That's what happened. That's the veil. We got blown back to the Stone Ages. We got knocked into a state of stupidness and had to learn how to re-evolve into a high-functioning civilization again. Now we here. Now there's enough of us, more of us educated in the history of the world as they tell it to us. Because if you go back 100 years, 1899, 1900, 99.5% of the people or more is illiterate. Think about that.
Yeah.
Almost everybody on the planet was illiterate. Now, almost the whole planet can read, write, and do math. That's an evolutionary phenomenon in and of itself. 100 years of almost zero literacy to almost 100% literacy. Even if it's just 50% in 100 years, that's amazing. And so they had to use certain people to get it done. Some of us was here before. Some of us had to wait our turn. We watched it happen, we watched it go down, but it wasn't our turn, so we wasn't allowed to get in the game. Right? Now, we all waited our turn, and now the last resort comes to the last resort. The stone the builder rejected is now the chief cornerstone.
Right.
Just when they thought he was going to be stuck as a keystone, he ended up as a capstone.
Right.
When they thought they was going to be stepping over him as a stepping stone, they ended up being over their head as a crown stone.
And Ron, speaking of stones, what's your thought? Right before our Stone Mountain trip, meteor came crashing down in Georgia. It was the largest meteor ever seen in the daytime. What's your thoughts on a meteor coming to our atmosphere? Is that anything that we should be aware of? Is that a sign of anything? It looked biblical. When you seen the shit on film, on camera, the shit looked biblical as hell. Big ass meteor in the middle of the daytime, man. But what you was gonna say, Rod?
Anytime you flying around in space with this much space debris, something's gonna breach this atmosphere. Normally, because of the Van Allen belt, anything come in, it's gonna be like 90% consumed by fire by the time it touches the ground.
Right.
Right. That's why most of the meteorites that hit the ground are very small compared to the massive craters that they told us was meteorites that was actually dug out by the blast of megalithic bombs. Right. Most of that stuff can't get through the Van Allen belt, that radiation barrier. If it's only certain materials that can get through there without being melted down to its least common denominator.
Rod, how long the Van Allen belt been in our Earth's magnetic field?
It haven't been there that long. The first they had to put the moon there.
Who's there again? Who's there again, Rod? Who put the moon there?
Whoever the fuck them Anunnaki people,
Yeah.
they was working with the Galactic Council to isolate Earth because we was blowing shit up. When they isolate the Earth, they had to block Lilith out to control the women, so they put the moon there. There was already an orb up there, but it was more amplifying to that Lilith energy, which gave the women the ability to produce both genders by parthenogenesis. When they took the old moon, the real moon away, and put this spaceship moon up there, they got up there right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put the Dark Knight satellite in place about 250,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And these two projects the subconscious matter into the 3D reality. It's the holographic universe we talked about at the beginning, Rich.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you look at the holographic projector, remember I asked you know how the holographic projector works?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have one fixed going from left to right, and then the other one had to be fixed going up to down.
Mm-hmm.
And the projection of the hologram projects between the rays that both of them are projecting.
Mm.
Right? So you need both the Dark Knight satellite and the moon to simultaneously project the hologram. The Fortnite simulation is the easiest way to compare it.
So
take the Fortnite simulation, and now who's ever fighting the war, they can't never escape because they're so busy fighting the war, and it requires them to forget who they is and then wake up in the dream. But most of us don't believe that's a reality because you have people that's been taught to keep, their job is to keep us from waking up. Yeah, that's the George Washington challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's also based on statements from Rothschilds and Rockefellers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they told us what they was doing to us. They told us how they were doing it. And when they was telling it to us, we never believed it was them when they identified themselves by telling us who was responsible for what was being done. So we was going